So I've been sharing lately a lot of my physical media on TikTok. So it's really that's all I've been doing on TikTok. Really, it's just showing my movie collection. I keep buying new Blu-rays, new DVDs, amassing more VHS tapes because I really want to preserve and archive pieces of history, pieces that I'm nostalgic about, and I really do enjoy it. I enjoy watching the content, of course, and consuming it, but also collecting as well. So something else I've been doing lately is backing up my movies to digital, make them digital files. Um, yeah, and obviously there's reasons people do that. Some people who literally people who just subscribe to subscription services like Netflix and things. You really are limited by what they're providing to you, and it's if often when you want to actually watch something specific, it's not even there. So that becomes a bit of a headache, really. So I only do this for my personal catalog. I don't do it to share with anybody. This is literally just it's mine. I own the films. You know, so there's the craft, skeleton key. I got loads. Anyone follows my TikTok, you'll see I've got a massive collection. It just keeps growing to within reason. Um, yeah. So I might share the model of my Blu-ray external Blu-ray drive for my laptop that I use to read the discs because it might help people because I understand people need some help with things. But I'm not going to go through the whole process in terms of the software that's used and all those things. You can obviously see from certain images there, but I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go as far as to detail every little thing. I've shared it to a degree. Um, but yeah, for me personally, the reason I'm doing it is that some people do it to create their own internal server, so they make their own homebrew Netflix. Effectively, they back up their movies, and then they make it so they can stream it around their house. Personally, I don't really see the point. I've got multiple Blu-ray drives, so I can literally my whole collection. I can watch in any room I want. So why would I want to watch a digital version in those rooms? That doesn't make sense because I'm compressing the videos, so there's a slight degradation in quality, not a huge. But if I'm going to watch them on the telly, for instance, I might as well use the source material, the actual discs. Um, so really, the reason I'm doing it is to preserve the discs because some of them are actually rare. I recently got Idle Hands. That's a rare film in the UK. Can't Hardly Wait. That's also rare in the UK. Um, so I have some rare ones mixed into my collection. And obviously, if it got scratched or something, it's going to be really hard to replace those films. So for me personally, it's I want to be able to preserve them. Of course, then you have to worry about theft. You have to worry about damage, and of course, there's like a portability thing to this. Like for instance, if I'm traveling, you go on holiday, you want to take some movies with you. I don't really want to have to take an external drive with me, and I don't want to have to carry a load of bulky DVDs everywhere. That's for home. So I obviously want a backup on an external drive, and then I can get a little flash drive as well, a little pen flash drive, and then I can just put the ones I want to take away with me on there, and then I can still watch them without having to bring the discs with me. That's really the reason I'm doing it, because I've had problems with the streaming services on holiday. You are bound to having an internet connection, and if you don't have a connection anyway, sometimes there's like the licenses. So, for instance, if you download the movies and TV shows with your subscription service before you leave for holiday, they often have a license with them, and they're very short licenses too. So they don't always last the duration of the holiday, especially depending on when you download them. So you are bound by the service in terms of an internet service, internet requirement, or a limited user license where you can only access the movies or TV shows for a set period. Now I had the problem with Prime Video. I own some digital movies on Prime, and you'd expect to be able to have an unlimited license. That's not the case at all. So when I was downloading it for holiday, it was literally expiring because I did it way before the holiday, and it expired by the time I was going. This is ridiculous. If I extract the movie from my disc and I create a digital version of it, there's no license attached to it. I can literally watch it whenever I want, in whatever way I want. And I should have the right to do that. It's not like I'm sharing it with other people. It's literally I'm the one consuming it in the same way I would be using the disc if I took the disc drive. It just negates the need for me to carry a disc drive around with me. That's all I'm doing it for. Um, so my one is I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to put it on camera. Oh, I think my camera's gone mental now, but it might have actually stopped. Wait a minute again. Right, it's come back again. I'm a little worried about the connections because if you start messing with USBs, so I'm not really going to bother getting. I'll see if we can. I'm hoping it doesn't cut off. There you go. So this is my external Asus Blu-ray drive. It's a Blu-ray reader and writer. So effectively, it can read and write CDs, DVDs, and Blu-rays. So it's very versatile. There is Ultra HD models you can get, but I didn't see the point because every time you go up a level with these things, they're more expensive. So effectively, a DVD-only version is about £30-40. My one was £100. You're going in excess of £100 if you want a Ultra HD. And I haven't even invested in Ultra HD, really. I'm not going that way. So when I do my video recordings, just to put it in perspective here, hopefully it's interesting to the right audience, of course. So I've got this one on this side here. I've got two little boxes. So I put my disc in, and that's what it's doing here. I don't think there's actually anything in the disc. That's why it's just spinning around. I don't think I put anything in it. No, there's nothing in it. I need to remember what I'm doing. It's a real process at the moment. I think I've already done that film. Yeah, we'll have to do some checks in a minute because I'm getting myself in a bit messed. So effectively, the one on the left is me extracting the image for the files. Effectively that breaks it down into special features, director's voice commentary, and all those things. So you have to try and figure out which one's the main source video and which one's the main source audio. Choose those files, and then you extract them, and that creates that creates that file. Inevitably, it's a big file, whether it's DVD or Blu-ray. So a DVD typically is 4 to 5 gigabyte, roughly. A Blu-ray can be up to 40 gigabytes. So it's a huge difference between DVD and Blu-ray. So what we need to do is compress them. So I use another piece of software, the one on the right, to then make the image smaller in file size. So it reduces the quality a little bit, but not to the point you'd think. It doesn't hit it that bad. So effectively, a 40 gigabyte Blu-ray will then drop down to about 4 gig. So that's a lot more easier for starter storage. If I've got 10 Blu-rays, that's 40 gig. Whereas it would have been 400 or whatever. It'd have been crazy amounts. You're just not going to be able to store much if you keep them at the file size. Same with DVD, 4 gigabyte for a DVD. It doesn't justify the size at all with the image quality. So you can get that down to about 800 meg. So effectively, 10 films is 8 gig. You normally only get 2. So you do the maths over multiples. And my library, I need to be able to store. So effectively, my DVDs are going to be about 800 meg and the Blu-rays about 4 gigabyte. That's literally what I'm aiming for. And that's literally what the process. So on top of that, so we ain't just got the file sizes here. A DVD typically takes about 20 minutes to extract. I think 10 to 20 minutes to extract. So effectively, the whole process, I think, for DVD between extraction and compression is about 30 minutes-ish. But a Blu-ray is about an hour. So if I'm sitting here, for instance, and let's say I'm going to be proactive doing it, I'm better off doing some DVDs because you can do 2 at once. Once you've done the first one, I can set the compression working while I'm then extracting the next disc. So it's just a process of doing that, really. But with a Blu-ray, I can leave it and go and do something else because I know it's going to be an hour to do that process. Then after that, when I check it again in an hour, it's another hour to compress it, and the process continues. So I'm just going to show an example here, really, if we can get it over there. So this is my movies I've done already. I've done quite a few. I've been grabbing some cover arts just so I can add it here, so I can actually see the image a bit better. Once I've got enough films, I'm going to I'll segregate them into how I've got them on my shelves. So I've got like a Halloween shelf, I've got an action adventure like Indiana Jones-esque stuff. I've got a sci-fi one with like Star Wars, Avatar, and things like that. Then I've got fantasy where I've got Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones. Then I've got like a crime one. Then I've got a thriller one. Then I've got a drama one. I've got shelves for everything: romance and comedies and animation. Horror. I don't watch so many horrors nowadays, but and Halloween, Christmas. I've got little things, and I think once I've got enough, I can then make the folder, and then there'll be specific ones in there. And again, for the most part, this is, like I said, this is really just me making sure I back up because some of these discs, you don't know if they're going to get scratches. You don't know if they're going to be damaged for whatever reason. You never know if you can't account for theft. You have to be aware of this. And of course, like I said, I want to be able to have a mobile version of this. Let's say I had to relocate. Or travel for an extended period. Bit annoying. I've invested all this money in a physical library, and yet it's not portable. It's going to be really hard to take that all with me. So let's make a digital archive of that, and it's like then I'm not bound by all the So it's not a waste of money, if you like. You haven't wasted all that money on all that collection. You literally have a hard record of it on digital. That's why I'm doing it, because I shouldn't have to then go and double purchase. I shouldn't have to buy a physical copy and then go somewhere like Amazon Prime and start buying digital files there. Then I'm bound by Prime's user agreement, and also the fact that then I also need, see, not only user agreements, you have to burn by their rules. You're then bound by the fact that I need a permanent internet connection. So you have to have an internet connection to be able to access it. And then what happens if at some point they lose their licenses for the movies, or they decide, you know what, we're going to take our business away from that? Any purchase you made is a waste of money. If it's a waste of money anyway, because you can't access it without the internet. Now, of course, most people have the internet. You don't have a problem. But the moment you do have a problem, or the moment there's an issue with the service, how you can access that? You've built a huge library that's a waste of money. It's all literally make believe. You've paid for a license, but that license isn't worth what the money is. You know what I mean? The terms it's printed. This way, it can't be taken away from me. This way, I have access to it. I don't need the internet. So if you go on holiday, for instance, other people will be trying to get Wi-Fi and all sorts. I'll literally just I plug the flash drive into whatever I'm taking, if it's a laptop or even a tablet. I'm sure a tablet will work. I haven't tried that, but do that. And I've got access to my the specific films or TV shows that I decide to travel with. So people might think, people that are going physical media are like wasting their money or it's stupid. It's not. It's actually preserving, ownership. I bought the film. I'm just making a digital blueprint of that film, and then I'll still watch it in its raw form. I'll still keep the discs. But like I said, I'm traveling. I'm doing that. That's why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it any nefarious reason. It's literally just my self-preservation. Because, like I said, some of them are rare, and you just don't know what happens to a disc. And I'm not. It costs a lot of money to acquire the films I have already. So it's about being wise. It's a whole process, and it does take a long time. So this isn't just like overnight you're doing it. You just have to do it in batches, really. So I've recently just done a Star Wars, because I'm trying to back all my Star Wars ones up at the moment. So we've got the Force Awakens here. So this one was 35 gigabyte. I don't know if you can see that. At the bottom left there, it will say 35 gigabytes. That's quite a big file. I'm going to try and turn the sound off because I don't want any issues. Oh, this one won't have file sound anyway, because it's the original file is an MKV file, and I don't have, this software doesn't like playing MKVs, it likes MP4s. So that's a bit of geek jargon there for some people who don't understand that. Those that do, of course. So anyway, this is a Force Awakens. Nice one. So then I've done, that's 40 gig. So I've also got it here now because I've compressed it. So I took the time to compress it, and it took an hour. So where the hell are we? Star Wars, Force Awakens. So we've gone from 40 gig, I think it was, down to 3.47. I haven't even seen it since I've done it. Now I will turn the sound off if I can. Turn the sound off because copyright and all that nonsense. You do get issues with this. But yeah, I mean, I don't think the quality's been diminished significantly. I think it's good. And we've gone from 40 gig to 4. And we've preserved it now. So I've just took the disc downstairs, so I can't show an example of that, unfortunately. But that's literally all I'm doing, is I'm getting the image, the film I already own physically, creating a digital copy of it that's not attached to a license. Effectively, I can play it on whatever platform I want, whether it's, like I said, something portable or here. And either way, I have a portable disk drive anyway, so it's not like I'm doing, like I said, it's not like I'm doing anything dodgy. Instead of just taking this bulky thing around with me, I can just watch it digitally. It's not an issue, Otherwise, I could just take this around and put the disc in anyway. So I don't see how it's any different at all, personally. So what I need to do is figure out what the hell I've been doing, because I was just doing an unboxing video I just did just now on TikTok. Passenger 57. So what the hell's this one? I think this one might be Skeleton Key. I think that's what I just did. Let me just check it. Hopefully it'll disable the audio for me for a minute. Oh, it doesn't play the audio anyway. They say it's Skeleton Key. What's this one? Oh, Adam's Family. Okay. So now we know this one, because what it is, DVDs doesn't tell you when I do this way. It doesn't actually automatically put the title, but the Blu-rays do for some reason. So that one is 4 gigabytes. So that one's 4 gigabytes. So what I want to do is, have I done a folder? I think I've done a folder. Adam's Family Values. Well, I haven't got a cover yet. So it's 4 GB, which you could say fine, but what's the point of me doing that at 4 GB when I can get down to 800 meg? So I've already made a preset 180p, 1080p, should I say, 25 FPS because movies are 25 FPS, not 30 or 60 or anything like gaming. It's 25. So I already got it all set. 256 bitrate. So all I literally have to do is go here, go to my movie backups, go to Adam's Family Values. It's as simple as this because I've already once you set it all up, it's as simple as that. And then I've just got to get this and get it in the right file area, which is always a pain in the pain. Movies. Let's find Adam's Family. Just so it goes straight in. Then I haven't got to mess about, and I don't like it being little letters there. So with DVD. Now that's all ready. It's all set. And all I literally do, starting code, and it'll be about, I don't know, it'll come up with a remaining time here once it's progressing. And it'll probably mess my recording up now because effectively it's using a lot of resources, CPU and whatnot, and the processor to be able to do this process. I could probably pause it. I actually might pause it while I talk. See, as soon as I stop doing it, I'm free to continue. But all that's doing is compressing the original Adam's Family one that I just did. So I could, to save myself an awful lot of time, I could keep the bigger file, which would be the best quality, but it's MKV and ideally I want MP4, and there's ways around that. But this will automatically do it to MP4 anyway as it compresses. But storage is really going to matter when you've got a big library. It'll catch up with you if you just want to be lazy. So I just do one is the extraction, the other one is the compression. And what I wanted to do, if you just pause it a minute, just while I try and get my account up. Right, so I've tried to minimize this image as best I can just to provide some privacy with the addresses and whatnot. As you can see there, it says you last purchased this item 27th of December 2024, and it cost me about that. To be honest, I was thinking about buying 2 at the time. I didn't really have enough, so I thought I'd buy it again later. Because the thing is, these aren't always going to be available. Eventually you're just going to be stuck with aftermarket cheap brands that maybe aren't reliable. And I think it's good. I paid the extra like this to have Asus, because Asus is a reliable brand. It's a computing brand. And the fact that it's still available is good. I think I got it from a third party. I think I paid slightly more than this. But this is actually through Amazon now. I think Amazon have got it in stock. £94, I'd say it's great value because I'm really happy with it too. It looks stylish. It does require 2 USB ports. So if you haven't got 2 USB sockets, just get yourself an adapter that's got multiple. So get yourself an extra USB extension there. And yeah, for £94, it's got Blu-ray, DVD, CD. It can literally read them, and it can also burn to those discs. So I've got a batch of Blu-rays I've never even used, blank discs. So I can't figure out why the hell I'd want them. I bought them, and then I thought, what do I need them for? Why am I burning more? Why would I want to copy one of my films to make another Blu-ray? It's like I've already got. I don't need multiples of the same discs. I'm preserving digital. So yeah, but what I was thinking of doing was maybe turn some of the TV shows into one big disc, so we use it instead of having to keep putting loads of DVDs in over the course of a TV series. If it's DVD, perhaps maybe it might be worth putting them all on a Blu-ray disc, and then I can just put the one disc in the disc drive and then enjoy watching them. That's something I've been playing with. Beyond that, don't really need to. It's been good creating CDs though, so I could make my own CDs. So you're not always heavily reliant on your streaming services, like for music. And it's getting back to that, having physical media. But that's the exact model I've got. I think it works perfectly fine. Like I said, I'm not going to go too deep with the software side of things because people are going to have to learn that in the same way I've had to learn it. Yeah. But anyway, these are full-size images, these ones here. So like I said, the Force Awakens here, I can delete that because I've already got Star Wars here. So where the hell that's gone, I can't remember. But like I said, I'm not doing this to share the files with anyone other than myself. This is literally, it's just I'm consuming my own content. But yeah, of course, people could do it for nefarious reasons. Which is why I'm not going to overly promote this. I'm not going to sort of like tell people the exact software in terms of how you get it about. Because to be honest, some of it, figuring it out isn't as straightforward as you think. It's like it takes a process. It does take a process. Because I can't remember exactly what I did now, because there was a thing to get Blu-rays working. It wasn't just out of the box. Blu-ray needed to require a specific plugin, I think, or something specific. But it's all installed now, so I've already set it up. But that was back before. I'm sure I'd figure it out again if I had to, but it's not something I particularly want to go back to have to sort out if it's unnecessary. So that says it's loading, but there's nothing in there. Skeleton key. I'm trying to figure out if I've got that. Again, not all these films are available on your streaming. You know, I don't know if Skeleton Key is. I'm not sure. So like I say, I've been getting some images for the covers, so just so I can see what they are just by quick looking. But if I was to use sort of like professional software to be the front end of it, I'm sure that way people are using it as streaming, so like the streaming equivalent. I'm sure I could do that, but at the moment, I just don't see a desire to do that. To be honest. Then it's more for my backup. So I want to get another external drive just as a backup. You know, it's always good because you don't want if something fails, you're going to lose access to it. It seems to be my screen's gone mental again. I think it's because it's doing some reading. I just realised every time I do something computer-wise, it's not happy because it's using resources. So effectively, what it's doing here with this disk spinny thing is it's checking for access. It wants to be able to access the disk, so it's trying to find out what's on it. It realizes copy protections because that's what they have, especially DVDs. They had awful copy protection, which you know I used to figure out how to bypass back in the day because again there weren't the digital alternatives back then. It was like we was stuck with just the physicals. It's been a long time since I bothered again since then. Because even I got caught up with streaming services, you know. But now I want to get back to having my stuff backed up, really. So this is just a different software to what I had used in the past. And again, it's only for personal use. But yeah, it's got to try and bypass. So what effectively happens is it says, "Oh, wait a minute, it's copy protection. We're going to have to access the disk a different way. So you're not accessing the disk with all the menus and all that stuff. It's trying to bypass that and just try and find the actual files. And then you're going to have to select the file you want. So effectively, we need to select the video file that's correct because you want the master, the main film. You don't want something where it's like special features or something. And you don't want director's commentary all over your video. You want the official core sound. So that's where it becomes a bit of a trial and error. You've got to know what you have a rough idea what you're looking for because otherwise you'll go through the whole process. And believe me, I've done it before. And you'll go to play it and you think you've done a great job. And it's just the director's commentary. So the whole process was for nothing. You've got to go back and do it again because there's no other, I haven't figured it out, another way just to extract the audio and then match them together. By the time you even try and figure it out, you're better off just deleting it and just go again. So it's a whole real process, really. Yeah. So anyway, you can just, and it's easy enough to get cover box art for the films just to give it some personality in your folder so you can actually But this one's taking quite a while. It doesn't normally take this long. I'm not sure. It seems to be having an issue, but you've got to let it just play out a little bit. It may even be scratches on the disc because I haven't actually just checked the disc. If there's scratches, that's a problem. Yeah, I mean, I've got some really rare ones. I've got even more rare ones on my shelves down in the living room and things. Dante's Peak. I recently got that. It arrived the other day, so we've got that now on a digital and disc. And that's the thing. Yeah. At home, in my own environment, I literally have access to be able to sit at the computer if I want. I can actually play the discs if I choose to, or if I can't be bothered to go and get them, I could watch a film from the digital files now, or sit in the living room, sit on my bed, you know, whatever. I can just pick a film up, and I prefer having that access to it than the streaming services. You know, it doesn't mean I don't use the streaming services, but I don't use them anywhere near like I used to. And instead of subscribing to all of them, I only really subscribe to one now. And I'm not even on it that much. It's more just for convenience or something that I don't already have, and yeah, things like that. But if you're actually asking me what I prefer to use, I actually prefer to go and just pick a film up off my shelf because I know where it is, I know what I have, and I haven't got to mess about seeing if it's available. And then I don't have to worry: is it going to pause halfway through or buffer? Is there going to be an issue with the service? You know, all these things. I don't need that hassle. So it's like disc in, Bosch, play. People think it's hard work, but really, it's not. It's far more straightforward. So yeah, we're having a bit of an issue with this disc. I think it might be scratched. It wouldn't normally take this long. Have a look. Not really. I mean, there's light scratches, but you're going to get that with DVDs anyway. I think it might be the fact it's just spinning anyway when it's not doing anything. Let me just try something else. Just trying to think. because I've got to try and do something anyway. That one might take longer. I think Blu-rays take longer to do. I'm not sure why it's spinning like that. It's spinning and it ain't even doing anything. Right, this one's the craft now. We'll try the craft. But again, it's going mental. So what can I do? Every time we put a disc in, it goes crazy. So just let it catch up for a minute. I think once it's settled, because I'm getting warnings at the bottom of my screen after, like, where it's doing the recording. It's literally, it says encoding overload. So again, the resources. I really want to get back to doing my Adam's Family compression before I forget completely. I may shut this app down for a minute. I'm just going to close the app and start it again, because I think personally it's having a bit of a problem. It's almost like it's got caught in a loop where it's not actually trying to access the disk drive. That's how it feels, because I don't think it's doing anything. It's saying it's spinning when it's not even spinning, so that doesn't even make sense. So now it's going to scan my drive. Right. It's just to say, oh, you've got a disk drive. Let's hope it works. This piece of software is very, very finicky. It's an open beta, which means it's not a full release yet. It's going again. It's doing my head in this computer. It really is. I do need to upgrade to a bigger desktop PC rather than my gaming laptop. It's good for games, but when you want to do some hardware stuff, it can really it stresses it unnecessarily. Yes, that's a problem for me personally. Hopefully it'll hurry up. But yeah, this software is a bit of a pain. So effectively it's open beta, which means it's not a full release yet. Once it's full release, you'll have to pay for a license. And I don't particularly want to mess about with that. So what I'm planning, hopefully, is to do by the end of by all October, because that's when the next. They keep redoing it for 2 months at a time, but it's really hard to find the key again. You know, it's not the best website to find it from. The people that create this software. So I'm trying to get as much of my library backed up by October now. So then I'm really not reliant on the software, because I don't need to back every little thing up. I just want the majority of my library backed up, and then I'll do it in waves, rather than do it all the time every time. So do it up to October, then I'll take a break potentially. And that depends how far in time, because it is a process. It takes a while. This. So anyway, it knows it's the craft. It literally says it there. The craft special edition. It says. Now we click it. It says illegal request, read of scrambled sector without authentication. So that's literally the copy protection that's stuck on the disk. Effectively, they're saying you can't be doing that. So then it says using direct access mode. So it's going to circumvent the protection now to access the actual files, which is pretty smart. So yeah, it is technical and complicated, but it's not really technical and complicated for the user. It's the software that's doing it. I'm just sitting there going, yeah, you do what you got to do. You need to circumvent that. Yeah, I'm all for it. You go and circumvent that. You just get me the video and audio image that I need to create my file. Because I have the disc, and it's no different. It's literally no different to me putting a disc in. And that's how I see it. So on the one hand, it could be deemed you're doing something wrong, but then I don't see what's wrong about it. It's literally a copy of the film I have in just a different way of watching it. I just think, personally, I'm just really irritated that everything's relying on the internet nowadays. That's gone too far. So we're struggling now to have things that don't have to connect to the internet all the time, where someone has control over everything, So it's like just taking back a bit of control for ourselves. I should be able to watch and consume content without an active internet connection. Because in this day and age, as soon as you lose the internet connection, you literally have nothing. That is frightening. So anyway, it's usually the top one. For the most part, it's the top one. But you still have to keep your eyes about you. So this one says 2 chapters, and in a very small file. So we just disable all of them. This one, it usually comes with loads. Sometimes I manually do it, but you can actually just right-click one and then just unselect all of them. We've got the main title, so that's going to be there. The video is this one, and then we just want the audio. So we can see one's French, one's German, stereo English, stereo there. Normally it's the top one. We'll click it, see what it says. Audio 5.1, channel layout. You can never be 100% sure, but normally it is the top one. This one, if it says core, that's usually a good sign. This one's not really clear. It's not distinguishable between what each one is. So this one's 5.0, that one's stereo. But what I find is if there's a director's commentary, it's usually just stereo. There's no reason for them to need to make it expansive with surround sound. It's just very direct. So yeah, it was usually the top one. So that's all we're doing. And then because I've already assigned the file where I want to put it in my folder, I literally just press this. But otherwise, you just click the folder and put it in the folder you want. So I'll do that. And it's not obviously going to be called the right file. So I need to make sure just in case it goes over it. Now, once I do that, my computer's probably going to throw a hissy fit again because it's encoding. So when I'm not recording and doing all this video stuff, I can literally have these were active side by side and there's no problem with my computer. So let's say I could do with upgrading my computer. That's when I want to record. If I'm recording myself doing content, then I get annoyed because some of my gaming content I can't record because my computer just goes to a standstill and it starts acting up or it just shuts down. So I do need an upgrade, but it's going to cost a lot of money, and right now it doesn't justify itself. So the limitation of what I'm doing while I record, upgrading my whole setup doesn't justify the worth of it. So effectively, it's going to cost me about £1,500 to upgrade my setup, which is rather unnecessary in the overall scheme of things, because all it would do for me right now is allow me to continue talking while I encode both files. When really, I can just stop recording, set the process. So the one on the left extracts the content from the video, from the DVD, and the one on the right compresses the previous recording I'd done, which was Adam's family, to make it a smaller file. So the one on the left is going to extract the craft, while the one on the right is going to compress Adam's family. So I've got a smaller file. And then what will happen is the craft will be done. Then I'll compress the craft while I then extract another disk. That's literally the process. And then, like I said, I'll get images. I'll source the images. Just it's only an image with the box cover, and then it just shows me this little thing here behind it, just to give it a bit of character, really. So you're just not looking at just names. And then I'll just work it. And then, of course, I might start looking at front-end things. That's what you'd call it, front-end user experience sort of thing. So maybe there's a piece of software that can literally get all my files and folders and things and put it in a pretty way that looks like Netflix. I'm no doubt that's available somewhere. I just haven't even bothered going that far. Because in all honesty, I'm more than happy to put my disc in my player, watch it on my bedroom in my telly if I want to have a movie night in bed. Or on my sofa, I've got a recliner thing. I'll just sit on my sofa, I'll chill out. Do you see what I mean? Like, this is just no different. I'm just making a backup copy if I go on holiday, because who wants to carry all this around? And then if it gets damaged, it gets stolen, who knows what the hell? But I understand it. People can do this for nefarious reasons, so I do get that. But mine is literally just my collection. And if you go on my TikTok channel, for instance, you'll see I have a big collection, which I'll continue investing. So. Anyway, hopefully it's been insightful to some people. I will put in a description the model number of the Blu-ray drive I'm using. Like I said, it's £95 on Amazon at the moment. Me personally, I think it's value for money. I would buy the same one over and over again, because I know some other ones they're going to have some dodgy drives. You might get a cheap Chinese knockoff one where it keeps misreading the data. So maybe you think you're getting somewhere and it fouls, it turns off, it slips, the disk gets corrupt. It's not reliable. It probably powers off all the time. Things like that. Maybe it doesn't even last long. That's what you're going to get with the cheaper ones, So you're going to have constant issue just because you wanted to save a few quid. Whereas if you want a permanent setup, this is what you want. So like if I wasn't doing this with my discs, making digital files, this disc player can literally just play my films. So let's say I'm sitting at my desk. I've got an ultra wide monitor. Let's say I just want an experience where I just chill out on my desk and I want to chill out. Or I want to go away and I want to travel. I can just take films with me. It's a Blu-ray drive. So I can take DVDs and I can take Blu-rays, I can take CDs. And I can just put them in this. Because I'm really worried about the USB cables. I can just put them in that, and I'll be able to watch them whenever I go. But it's just a bit bulky. It's just a bit unnecessary when I can have a digital copy of it. That's, I don't know how else to get that across. That's literally why I'm doing it. And I just think it's prudent to do that, because discs can. I've heard of them getting malfunctioning with age. I haven't had that, but I have had a few, but really due to sunlight in the past. Like if you left discs out in the past, we used to take advantage of it, because obviously back then we had discs everywhere, and things would get lost, and yeah, they would get like sunburn on them, and they'd be damaged. You couldn't use them. So there is a worry there with it all, that you never know. So I do think just it's prudent. Like I said, I'm not going to go down the licensing route. I'm fed up. I've got films I own on Prime Video, But I realized that, you know what would I rather have, physical or digital? And a lot of time I was like balancing it. I don't know. But then it's like now I just think I just want a physical one. I want disc. And I don't think it's fair that by having a disc, I don't have access to a digital version. Films back in the day used to come with a digital version, even though, again, that was attached to a website. So it's annoying. You just want physical, and it should be available. And if the companies are not going to do it, then other people would take matters into their own hands. Much like a lot of us did at the end of towards the end of the 90s. We was like backing up our music CDs and making MP3s before the company started to offer that. And then they started to remove the access to MP3s to make everything stream only. It's a way to just control what we have. They don't want people having ownership. And especially license free. But I would say preserve now while you can. Preserve now while you can, because a lot of this stuff's going to fade. You know, you're going to find that streaming is the only way forward for new users, because you're going to find that things are just going to get harder and harder to find. That's what I personally think. And there'll be films that get lost to history. There'll be TV shows that get lost to history, especially by region. There's some things in America that you just can't get in the UK. And I have access to some of them, thank God, because there's a couple of shows I do like.